Hello everyone, in this video we'll be looking towards sets and unordered sets in C++-HTL. The concept of sets here remain the same as of mathematics, that it contains unique elements and no elements can be repeated. Sets allow us to solve many harder problems very easily and makes our tasks very easier. It mutually works better with maps as well to solve very hard problem in a very easy manner. Basically the idea of maps and sets are same, but in maps there are keys and value, and here there are only values. So we can think of set as maps and another set as under maps, rather considering key and value in case of maps and only value in case of sets. In case of sets, the element itself acts as a key. We'll see how. So let us look at to the sets or ordered set. As you can see, sets are a type of associative container. So they are associative container same as of maps, in which elements has to be unique. So the elements has to be unique as we have discussed earlier and have a particular order. So the only difference between sets and unordered sets are their internal structure, and in case of sets they have a particular order, and in case of unordered sets they don't have a particular order. So let's look at to the internal structure of sets. The internal structure of set is same as of maps. Actually, it stores the elements in the form of a search tree that is balanced. You can see as binary search tree, and it performs various operations in only login time. So let us look. Suppose you have a set known as S and you want to insert an element inside it. Suppose 5. So you insert 5 and a node is generated with a value 5. So let us insert one more element. Suppose 8. So as you can see, 8 is greater than 5. So it brings this 8 to the right side of 5, same as a property of binary search tree. Let us insert more elements. So 7 is greater than 5 and less than 8. So it goes right to the 5 and left to the 8. In the similar fashion, other elements also comes in. So as you can see, it generates a balanced search tree. So you will ask, what if one more element of same value comes in? We can always insert s of 5 again, s of 8 again, s of 3 again. So let us insert s of 8 again. So if you insert s of 8 again, it will come here, will traverse to this node, and once it compares its value to this, for knowing that where it needs to travel, right or left, so it will see that it has same value as of 8. So it will stop there and won't make any changes to the binary search tree. So there is a unique property of sets that guarantee it will have a unique element. So this is one of the property. So what is the time complexity of sets? Basically, while inserting element, you only need to traverse to the height in the worst case. So it will be big O of h, that is height. Next again, what if we wanna find some element? So if we wanna find 7, we'll first come here, compare the value of 7 with 5. It's greater, we'll come again this side. Then we'll compare 8 with 7. It's less, we again come this side. We find 7 out here. So as you can see, we don't need to traverse this side of the tree. So it's cut down to the one part of the tree, again cuts down to the one part of this subtree. So basically it is doing a binary search. So again the search operation is also performed in the big O of log n time. So it will be very helpful in the world of competitive programming to bring down many solutions to log n time. So let us look at how does ordered set gives the elements always in the sorted order. So if I want to traverse this tree, all the elements will be written in the sorted order. So basically, if I go to this tree, it performs an in-order traversal. That is how the ordered set gives the element in a sorted order. So it performs a simple rule: left, root and right. So if you want to perform a traversal of this ordered set, it will obey this rule basically. So it will first come to the left, then root, then right. But this subtree have no right, so it will print 3, then 4, then it will again go to the root, then again it will print 5, then again it will select this right subtree, that is this right, then again it is a subtree, So it will follow again left, root, right. So left, that is 7, root, that is 8, and right, that is 9. So as you can see, the elements are in a sorted way. So this is how the ordered set always return the elements in a sorted way. So let us look at the unordered set now. So basically unordered set and set only differs in the internal structure and the order. So unordered set don't have any particular order, while ordered set have a particular order. As we have seen, it returns the element always in the sorted manner. So basically unordered set can be thought as of unordered maps. Only difference is unordered map stores key value, and here it is only value. So the value itself is treated as key. So basically let us look how this works. So like unordered maps, it maintains an internal hash table. We can consider it as an array. So if I insert one element, that is 5, so it will go to the hashing function like this, and there will be certain operation. This size is defined by the system itself. So this number 5 is hashed with this size. We have considered it 1000 for our simplicity, and if we do this operation, and it will give us 5. So for the only simplicity, we have considered this example. So this 5 is taken care and treated as an index. So this is a very large array. Consider this as index 0, index 1, and dot dot. Suppose this is 5. So here one flag value will be entered as a true. So we'll say this 5 exists in the table. So if again one more 5 comes in, then again it will give into the same index. So basically this is not map, this is set. So there will be one unique element, so there will be one unique 5. So no need to care about collision. Again in the same way, if we insert 8, it will go to the hashing function and calculate its index as 8. So it's inserted in a similar fashion, and the hash table will be populated like this. So this unordered set gives us element in the big of one time. How? Basically if we want to access suppose s of 5, it will go to this hashing function. This operation takes constant time and it will give us 5. So we'll just fetch this true or false. If it is true, then set has the value 5, and we can return yes, the set consists of the value 5. So what if another element comes in and we get a index as 5? So that's the problem out here. If any big numbers comes in and we get the index as 5, then this 5 is overwritten. So for avoiding this, we have many algorithms like linear probing, double hashing, quadratic probing, and many other algorithms to avoid this problem, and we find some other index to store that value which have given us index 5. So this 5 value is preserved already. So let us look at the code of sets and unordered sets. So like other videos, I have created a file set.cpp where we will be writing a code. So let's get started. Let me hide this side panel. Yep. So the first thing we need to do is to import the header file for set. So it is set. Great. Okay. Let's us compile and check that it is successfully imported in our project or not. Okay, it is compiled successfully, and let us run it. Okay, it is running. So basically set is successfully imported in our project. The first thing is how to declare a set. For that, we have constructor for declaring set. We have to write the keyword set, then we have to this angle bracket and the data type when stored in the set and name of the set. So this will basically store int. You can give other values like float, you can give other values like string. Similarly, we'll consider integer for this example. So next thing, for inserting value in set. So for inserting, there is a function insert. So we just need to do s.insert, and we just need to pass on the value. Okay, so I insert 3 in this set. In the similar fashion, we can insert other numbers as well. That is 4, insert 5, something like this. So suppose let us check that these elements are successfully inserted in our set or not. So for that, we'll be declaring an iterator. So we know how to declare the iterator from our previous video. Just name this as set, and give this scope resolution and iterator. So we'll name this as it. Great. So it.s.begin, so it will give the base address of this set from where will we start traversing. Let us write for loop it not equal to s.end, and at end will give the n address. Okay, so basically this is the pointer that traverses the set. So let us see out it. Okay, so this will give the value as star in front of a pointer, give the value stored in that address. So let us run and check. As you can see, it is showing 3 4 5 and it is an ordered set. Suppose I insert s dot insert -1 out here, so this is also integer value, so it will not show an error. Let us compile and check. Okay, as you can see, I have inserted this -1 at the last, but while displaying it is coming first. So this proves that this set, that is ordered set, stored the element in the form of sorted manner. So if I insert one more element, suppose greater than -1, that is 0, let us insert 1, so we'll get value something like -1 1 3 4 5, as you can see, irrespective of the order of insertion. So basically let us check now for duplicate value. Suppose one more time I insert 1, so as you can see, even I inserted one more time, but this is not consisting of one more one. So this proves that set consists of only unique elements. So let us comment it out for now. Okay, we have seen the insert value, we have seen the constructor, how to declare set, we have seen how to iterate set. Now let us move on to some other function as well. The other function are size. So size gives the size of the set. Just bring this a bit up. Okay, size will return the size of the set S. So we'll just need to do s dot size, and it will return the size of the set. Let us write the size of set is, okay, let us try running it. See, the set size is 5, so 1 2 3 4 5. So basically it returns the size of a set. So the next important function we are gonna see is erase function. Erase function removes an element from a set. So basically s dot erase. So this erase function takes an element as a parameter. So suppose we delete this 1 from this set, so we'll just pass 1. So let us check again after deleting that it is successful or not. Okay, let's start again. Great. So let us check. As you can see, after deletion the set doesn't consist of 1. So basically this erase function deletes the element passed to it, so it deletes 1 here. So let us look at one more utility, that is empty. So basically this empty is same as vector.empty or map.empty, which returns the value in boolean form, true if the container is empty and false if the container is not empty. Let us look at. So basically we'll be using a ternary operator here, s dot empty. So this will return true or false. If it is true, perform this, or false, perform this. So basically if it is true, let us see out set is empty, and if it is not empty. Great. So this will return true or false. If it is true, it will execute this statement or this statement. This statement is just a removal of an if-else statement, it is called as ternary operator. So let us compile and check. As you can see, it says set is not empty. So let us do one thing. Let us do one thing. Let us remove all the elements from the set. For that, let us look at one more utility function, that is clear. So this clear function removes all the elements from the set. So s dot clear will remove and clear the element. So let us compile and check. As you can see, set is empty because this statement removes all the elements that was inserted in the upper part of program. So we'll just comment this out and check. Again, this will say that set is not empty. As you can see, set is not empty. Again, if we uncomment it, it will say set is empty. So this is also a great function to clear all the elements of the set in one go. One more utility function we have is find. For that, let us comment this out as of now and move the code editor bit up. Yeah, so find basically gives you an iterator. That iterator will check the set consists of that element or not, basically. So let us look at how does it work. So we have a iterator it always beforehand only. So it equal to s dot find 2. Suppose we want to find 2 or say 5 that is present in the set. So now let us see what does this iterator do. Basically, if the element is present, it will return the iterator to that element. So it should return an iterator to this 5. So let us check. Cout it. As you can see, it's returning 5. So basically it returns the iterator to that element if it is present in the set. But what if we are find an element that is not present in a set? So it will be returning an iterator that will be equal to the last iterator, that is s dot end. So we'll comparing, if s dot find of 1000 equal to s dot end, then we'll be counting that 1000 does not exist. Okay, else let us see out 1000 exist. Okay, let us compile and check. Okay, as you can see, 1000 does not exist. In the similar fashion, if we again do like 4. So let us modify this print statement as well. Okay, as you can see, 4 exist. So basically this is the very great tool to find the element. As we have seen that this will do a traversal to the tree and find this element. So this will take basically log n of time doing a binary search in the tree. So now let us look to the unordered set. So basically the unordered set and set are having the same set of function and methods. So what we'll be doing here is that we'll be converting this set to unordered set and check that how does it work. So let us convert this and to unordered set. For unordered set, it's unordered underscore set. So let us declare this unordered set. Okay, and here. So okay, this program is now converted to this set equivalent methods to unordered set equivalence method. So let us check, compile and check that the set methods and function is also available in unordered set function and methods or not. So let us compile. So as you can see, it compiled successfully. Let us run. as you can see, everything runs intact and fine. So the methods which are present in set is also present in another set. The basic difference I told is the internal structure and the time it takes. So to summarize, for sets the searching time is log n, and for another set the searching time is big of 1, that is constant, provided that there will be no collision. So these two are great utility, and they works very good in combination with other container as well, like vectors and map.